Welcome to the Bella Grayce podcast, where we are helping you transform your life, mind, body, and soul. Whether you struggle to find balance using unhealthy behaviors or substances to cope, or you just want to unlock the root cause of what's holding you back from living your best life, Bella Grayce coaching can help you transform your life, mind, body, and soul. And today we are talking about
cultivating healthy coping mechanisms.
Yes, let's talk about
Yes.
it.
So coping mechanisms are something that you don't think about until you need them. And even then, a lot of times our coping mechanisms happen on autopilot.
Yeah, we don't realize it. Right?
We don't think about it.
Survival mode.
Yeah. So let's start with when you need coping mechanisms.
Okay.
Yeah. So coping mechanisms kick in when life overwhelms your ability to cope with it. So when work is very stressful, when you lose a job, when you have an unexpected pregnancy, when you get a diagnosis from the doctor, when someone dies, when someone moves, those are all what we call life stressors, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And some people handle those like champs.
Yeah.
Some people, you would not even be able to tell that anything is going on.
Yeah.
Others of us, and I say us because I am one of them, crap hits the fan and we lose it. And
we pull our hair out and we're like,
ah! Yeah. And
no.
I am a professional coach.
I'm not a professional coach.
I am a person educated in mental health and coping mechanisms and substance abuse, alcohol abuse. Like, I have the knowledge, and yet when something happens, cry, get frustrated, crawl in my bed and cover my head with the blankets and don't want to come out. Those are all of my automatic coping mechanisms. High anxiety, high stress, high fear, high sadness, and isolation. Those are my immediate coping mechanisms, because I quit drinking in 2020. I quit doing drugs in 2005.
Wow.
So,
it's crazy. Those used to be my coping mechanisms. I would just cry, not in bed, but I would cry all day, and I would isolate a lot. Isolate a lot.
Yeah.
From my loved ones. I was like just in my feelings. I just didn't want to talk. Yeah. And what else did you say?
Sadness, anger,
depression,
anxiety, depression.
Yeah.
And people don't think of those as coping mechanisms. They think of them as emotions.
Yeah.
But your emotions can be a coping mechanism, especially if when something bad happens, you act out in anger.
Yeah.
That's a coping mechanism. Something bad happens and you isolate. That's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Something happens and you go on a shopping spree. That's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Something bad
Drinking
happens.
Excessive alcohol, smoking, partying after a breakup instead of you getting some type of help or talking.
Healing.
Yes. Talk to someone about what you're going through. Instead, people are just like, you know what? I'm going to party all weekend. I'm going to hit the club. Like them good old days.
Yeah.
Really good clubs. Good old days.
Oh, I did.
I did because I had friends who went.
Yeah.
But it was never my thing.
Yeah.
No. And, but no, that when you don't have healthy coping mechanisms, you are going to go ahead and go into certain patterns that don't necessarily help you, but help you get, in the moment, you probably do feel that, instant gratification, but then afterwards you're going to be left feeling lonely,
Longing.
miserable,
Mhm.
sad, depressed. I mean, that's just how it is. So what you need to do is find yourself some positive ways that you can cope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always hesitate to explain what a healthy coping mechanism is versus an unhealthy coping mechanism, because for one person, working out might be a healthy coping mechanism.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For another person,
it would not.
It can be detrimental to their mental health, and it can end up being an unhealthy
so
thing.
For me, I always say that the gym saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason why I say that, it's because I just want to state that I love working out since a very young age. And weirdo. I am.
I hate working out.
I don't know. I enjoy it. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm the girl that wore dresses on PE day so that I wouldn't have to participate in PE.
I would be like, this is boring. Like, why are we just in our PE clothes and we're not doing anything? We're just walking around the track field. Like, boring. No. I mean, I do like a good workout, but I'm also lazy sometimes.
Yeah.
No, but the reason why I say that gym saved my life was because I joined in a time when I was like, oh my God, going through a separation with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, in a way, I was like, well, he never wanted me to join the gym in the first place, so I'm gonna go do that. You know, it was sort of like, this is gonna make him upset, but it was also like, but I want to look better and I want to feel better and I need something else to do and to get me out of the house, because if I don't, I'm just going to be here crying and praying. Not that praying is bad, but I was just like, I need to get out of the house. I need something else to keep me going in life. Yeah. So I joined the gym, and slowly but surely, I, started doing more workouts, more routines, got more familiar with the equipment, and made friends. Mm-hmm. So the other day, I was talking to one of the friends that I made at the gym, and he is like muscular, like he goes hard. Like, I mean, wow, amazing.
He's one of those hardcore.
Yes, amazing. Yeah, so I don't know how we got into this conversation, but he was like, hey, I used to drink a lot. Like, I was one of those people that were making carne asada over the weekend. Bring your beer, because that's all we're going to do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah. Every weekend we would drink, I don't know how many 12 packs or 24s.
Giving me flashbacks to my childhood.
Yeah. And, sorry.
No, it's all good.
And
they were good times. It's just, I now know that that's not healthy.
No,
right?
It's not. No. Yeah. No. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, really? I'm like, do you still drink? Mm-hmm. Because I know that what you eat and what you put into your body, especially when you work out, it affects it and you feel it. And it's just, we just know gym people are weird, guys.
I had a friend that was the same way. He wouldn't drink, not for very many reasons other than the fact that he didn't want the calories. Yeah. He was like, I don't need the calories, and it dehydrates me, and I don't like to be dehydrated for my workouts, so I just don't drink.
Wow. Yeah. Us gym people are special in that way, because we're like, well, no, if I eat this or drink this, it's going to affect my muscle mass. Yeah. Or it's going to like dehydrate me, or it's going to like poof my cheeks or something, get me bloated. Yeah. Like one of my friends said from the gym, she's like, well, before I used to not come to the gym, before I joined, I used to eat everything and then nothing would make me sick. Now that I come to the gym, I'm either bloated or have diarrhea, because if I eat something unhealthy, it makes me sick. Yeah. And it's crazy because I never thought about it that way. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Well, because you trained your body.
Yes, you do.
to eat a certain way
Yeah.
and to do certain things. And when you deviate from that, it has effects, right?
Yeah.
Like your body isn't used to processed sugars. Your body isn't used to processed foods anymore. So when you put that in, it like bloats and it does whatever. But your emotions are the same way.
Yeah.
So like with coping mechanisms, like your friend at the gym, he had for so long drank every single weekend, right? Like
maybe
that was
for lifestyle, maybe for company, maybe for coping, maybe it was just something he saw growing up and he just ended up in the same cycle as every other.
And then
person.
one day he broke free from that, right?
And the way that he broke free, because when I asked him, I was like, hey, well, what do you still drink? Because I know when I drink a margarita or something that has alcohol, the next day if I try to work out, I'm lightheaded, I'm drained. I know for a fact it's not going to be an effective workout.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, do you? You know? And he's like, no, I don't drink like I used to. He said he hired a trainer for 12 weeks and he paid him like $3,000 or so. And he trained hard with him for those weeks. And his trainer said, hey, once you are done with those 12 weeks, you can have your alcohol back. And he was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. You know, he was up for the challenge. So he did. He worked out really hard. He ate the stuff, did the work. Well, after those 12 weeks, he said he had no craving whatsoever of alcohol. I was like, what?
It's true. A lot of times our craving for alcohol comes from a yeast imbalance in our digestive tract. So you have an imbalance of yeast and it's kind of like, this is gross, but like a yeast infection in your tummy. And your body is overproducing yeast. And so it's desiring more sugar, and alcohol has high sugar content. Wine, high sugar content. Beer, high sugar content. And so we crave alcohol because there is a bacterial imbalance in our gut that's causing an overgrowth of candida yeast. And so when you get your gut balanced, like he did, I'm sure with his trainer through the diet and the exercise, like all those things, like he probably got his gut back healthy and
restored.
And kind of like the girl who said, if I eat the bad stuff, I get bloated and I get sick. His was the same way. And so his body was no longer craving the alcohol because he had trained it and healed it.
I'm sure it helped him like in his mental, his emotional, and his physical. I mean, especially there, because working out, it's a mental thing, it's an emotional thing, and I say mental because it's really mind over matter.
It is,
and you have to push it. Like your mind's gonna be like, no, oh, I'm tired. And your body's gonna be like, no, but then you're like, okay, one more set, I'm almost done. And you do it, and then you're like, oh, that didn't feel so bad. But it's also like those days when you're tired and you're emotional, you're like, I don't want to work out. Like, I don't feel like it. But afterwards, you realize that you push through. So that, like, working out helps you so much when it comes to your health. Like, your emotional, your mental, and your physical being.
So, working out is a great coping mechanism.
Oh, it's a great one. And I've learned that. But,
because it does the dopamine. We talked about the daily dose a while back, a few episodes back, but it does. It releases the dopamine, which is the reward, and it releases those endorphins. And if you go to the gym with a friend, you also get the oxytocin. So you're
gym
like,
buddy.
And so you're getting these good chemicals released in your brain. I always hesitate. Like I tell people, I'm like, coping mechanisms are all about balance, right? Because like, what might work for one person may not work for another. For one person, a healthy coping mechanism might be going to happy hour with a friend and talking about their problems, talking about what's bothering them. For me, going to happy hour with a friend and drinking is going to end me up in the bottom of 2 bottles of wine. So going to happy hour with friends for me isn't a healthy coping mechanism, right? Especially if I'm going through something.
Yeah.
Now, right now, like I go to happy hour with friends and I don't drink. I get a mocktail.
Yeah,
But
me too.
if I am on the edge of a cliff emotionally, going to happy hour is not the place for me because I am too fragile and it will be too tempting to drown my sorrows in a glass of vodka.
But you see, let's stop for a minute
Yeah.
about that. Well, we drink, but you don't.
Yeah.
And we know that you don't. And you also know that we drink.
Yeah.
We're not alcoholics like that.
No.
But we'll have a drink whenever we go out to eat or we're at a social event. I'll have something that has alcohol, and that's it. Like a lot of us do. But we never pressure you, and we respect that, and you respect us too.
Yeah.
So that's the difference there. Like, but we don't do this drinking also because we're like, oh, let's get lit tonight. Like, yeah, no. We're girls right now. No, it's more like I'm gonna have a drink because it's a lot of drinks now. I mean, a lot of drinks obviously come with alcohol, but the good thing about nowadays is that a lot of drinks also don't have alcohol.
Yeah, there's a lot of NA options.
Yes, thank God. So lately, that's what I've been doing too, because I have realized that whenever, like I said, when I'm trying to have a good workout, I know that that's gonna affect my hydration. It makes me tired, makes me feel some kind of way, and I don't like that. Oh, the other time when we went on the double date and Nick had the red wine.
Yeah.
And I had a glass. Oh my God, Teresa. I was burning up that night. I was burning up. I was like, what was in that wine?
Lifts your temperature. It creates heat within your body.
I was hot all night. I was like,
it's
hot.
Yeah.
Yes. I literally, I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
And my body had not reacted like that before, but I realized the healthier I become, the
more adverse to
my body is rejecting.
Yeah.
And I mean healthier, like mentally, emotionally, and physically, like every way, because I'm all about growth, not just little muscle mass growth. No. But I was like, oh my goodness. And I haven't had wine since then, but either way, I'm like, no, you know what? I realize that when I have a mocktail or drinks that don't have a lot of either sugar or alcohol, whatever, or none at all, I feel so much better. And I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But, so I thought that was very impressive how my friend was able to overcome his drinking problem because he started a new healthy habit, a new way to cope, and he was training his body. I mean, he did admit that here and there he does have like a drink or two, but he stops right there. He doesn't do it because his body has no need or anything. He's
good without it. Yeah.
And that's amazing. Amazing finding a different coping mechanism can do.
Yeah, an alternative to your normal. Yeah. Because like I said, my normal is to curl up in a ball, cry, and I typically still do it. Like
I want my mommy.
Yeah, my husband has learned. He knows that that's what I do, right? Like I curl up in a ball, I want to cry, I get upset, but he also knows that I need to have that. It's like me expelling the feelings, like I'm getting it out. I cry and I'm not a public crier.
And sometimes you do need to cry. You need to let it out. And crying is not bad.
No.
It's I heard it's cleansing.
It is.
For the soul.
Yeah, it is. And so I have that time. But my husband knows that there's...
If you're going to cry, I'll wear a waterproof mascara like me.
Yeah. No. He knows that like there is a limit to how long he can leave me in that bed, right?
Yeah.
And my husband is not a Christian, but I am. And so he knows when I've been in bed crying for long enough.
Yeah.
He brings me my phone and he opens the Bible app and he's like, okay, it's time. Read your Jesus book.
Your Jesus book. Here,
Yeah.
you need Jesus. Jesus,
Yeah.
where are you?
Yeah,
Please,
like,
miracle.
yeah, you need to read
Like,
your
help
Jesus
you,
book.
like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
Jesus is
It's
calling you.
time
Go
to
talk
read
to
your
him.
Jesus book and pray.
Yeah.
Okay, bye. And he'll pet me on the head, like, I'll see you later. But he knows that I need the time to cry.
Yeah.
That
you
is
need
my
that
coping
space,
mechanism.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then I need to pray and turn to God, because that is my other coping mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, I have to get up and go outside and go for a walk.
Yeah.
That is a huge way that I clear my mind and I reset and I do the positive self-talk.
Yes.
I am enough. I can handle this. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Like,
amen, girlfriend.
Yeah. But I know that that is my coping mechanism pattern.
Yeah.
Because before I quit drinking, it was cry, lash out, have the big emotions, drink.
You were not self-regulating
Right.
your emotions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was drowning them in wine or vodka or whatever I had in the pantry for months. And then I would come out of the fog and all the problems were still there.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between an unhealthy and a healthy coping mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Unhealthy coping mechanisms, they just mask the problem temporarily. Healthy coping mechanisms help you through the problem and help you process the problem so that you can come out on the other side healed and refreshed and ready to take it on if it hasn't already resolved itself.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my coping mechanism cycle. What's yours? How do you cope?
I cry like a baby. I do.
Yeah.
I have a chicken heart. That's what I say. I have a chicken
little.
heart.
She's
Yeah,
chicken
little. I it's funny because I could hear my assistant whispering this to me because she laughs every time I say that. Well, anyways, I'm a sensitive creature, so for me, I cry. I'm a big crier. I cry.
Yeah.
I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm angry, and I cry when I'm sad. But so when you cry, your brain also releases what to make you feel better? What's it called? Is it endorphins?
Yes, the endorphins.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because that's a stress hormone. So it gets released when you feel stress.
Yeah. So it's crazy, but so it helps you feel better again.
Mm-hmm.
That's why some people will cry it out, and then after they cry, they'll feel much better.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I also get angry. Like if I'm stressed, I get angry. I get annoyed. So what the old me used to just get like really, really angry and bottled it up.
Yeah.
Or I would cry too, and I would just bottle it up. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I would isolate.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, nope, I don't want, because I was like, I don't want to talk about it because if I do, they're going to think I'm crazy. Or I really don't feel like talking about it. And I'm honestly, to this day, there's times when I go through things and I still don't want to talk about it. And my husband now learns that he has to give me my space too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the reason why I don't want to talk about it is because I'm still processing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And once that is untangled, then I want to talk to him about it.
Yeah, you have to get your thoughts in order
Mm-hmm.
so that you can figure out how it's hurting you.
Yeah.
What you can possibly do about it.
Mm-hmm.
And have a plan for moving forward.
Yes.
And you can't do those things
No.
if you're bottling it up and not processing it.
No.
You can't do those things if you're drinking it away or cutting it away or eating it away.
Suppressing it. You're suppressing it and it's gonna No.
Or even gymming it away. Like the gym can help you process it.
Yeah.
Kind of like my walk,
Well,
right?
actually, no. For me, when I go to the gym and I'm having it was not a good day at all. I go to the gym trying to de-stress.
Yeah.
And I don't always distress. Sometimes I'm there and I'm still angry and I'm still processing everything and I don't even work out.
You just sit in the gym.
I do. I'm all dressed up, ready to go. Like, oh, we're gonna have a good workout. I'm gonna distress. There you go. You take this. No, I'm there, and I'm like this, like on the machine, like this,
Frozen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm processing it, and I'm like, and then I'm like, how long have I been sitting here? Other people have to use this machine, and I look around, nobody's there. But I'm like, oh. Then I go to the next one, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I finished the sets, but it's when I'm still angry or I'm still processing things, even if I go to the gym, I can't have an effective workout. So I have to try to like seriously suppress it with my workout, or like just go home.
Yeah.
Go home.
So then the gym isn't your coping mechanism.
No.
Yeah, because
in some way it is, and in some ways it isn't.
Maybe it is further down the line.
Yeah.
But when the stress initially hits, gym isn't the answer for you.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to know what their process is for coping. Because for you, if you put gym at the beginning, you can't process.
Mm-mm.
You've got to put gym in its perfect spot in your coping process, right?
Yeah.
And for me, kind of the same way. Like I need to cry, and then I need to turn to God.
For me, it's like I need to cry, I need to talk to God, and I need to talk to someone about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Because once I let it out, I feel better because I'm not holding it, I'm not suppressing it, and then I can have an effective workout.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because it just depends on what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I was just stressed at work and there's nothing I can do about it, I could have a good workout. Yeah. But if there's something else that keeps on circling around, even if it's for days or weeks and it just won't, it's time to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one. Talking to people is a big one. And that goes back to, what was that, 2 episodes ago when we talked about the importance of building friendships? Yeah. Like it is important to have people that you can talk to that can help you process that, whatever it is, grief, trauma,
and not
stress.
Someone who's going to gaslight you and be like, well, you're just being emotional, or like, get over it. I mean, that's just life. No, because you have a valid reason to be upset or angry or sad. You just have to find a safe person that you can talk to and be like, you know what, this is what I'm going through. Like, you need someone to give you wise wisdom.
Yeah, wise counsel.
Yes,
and wisdom.
Exactly. Yeah. Not someone who's just going to tell you, well, you know what, we're just gonna go party over the weekend, and you're gonna have a blast. You're gonna forget about everything and move on. No, that's not the way it works.
Not the way it works. Yeah. So coping mechanisms can be a slippery slope. Mm-hmm. I know so many people who are alcoholics and addicts, and so they're alcoholics and addicts who started out drinking, smoking weed, doing cocaine, doing ecstasy or Molly, or doing, whatever. They started doing drugs and alcohol to decompress on Friday night after a long day of work, a long week of work, right? They were like, well, I'm just going to go twist off. I'm going to just go have fun.
Of like that show King of the Hill.
Yeah.
Where
they always crack open the beer.
It's after work or on the weekend, and they're like, yep, we're going to drink. And they stand around just drinking.
Yeah.
That's so boring.
Yeah. I know. It is. It is. Now that I look back at my life. I just never found
it pointless.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but so I know so many alcoholics and addicts who started off their drinking and drugging as a means to just let loose and decompress at the end of the week.
Yeah.
And before they realized it was an everyday thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was every day as soon as they get off of work, they're drinking. Or every day as soon as they get off of work, they're rolling up a joint. Or every day after work, they're going to go hang out at so-and-so's house to quote-unquote decompress. They're stopping by the 7-Eleven for their quart of whatever. Yeah. They're all of a sudden then they're carrying around the little baby wine bottles in their purse all day, every day. And it just cycles out of control, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's funny because you say the little wine bottles.
Mm-hmm.
No, y'all. I had this friend over 10 years ago, and this is a true story, y'all. I'm not going to share his name. But we would work together, and I realized that he always had this white foam cup with this little straw. He was always like sipping on it, and I'm like, man, he really loves his whatever he's drinking because he takes it with him everywhere. And no, he had alcohol in there.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, he was drinking on the job.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's funny, but then it's not funny.
Yeah. No,
because he really had an alcohol problem.
Yeah.
To the point where he had to take the alcohol with him
to work.
Yes. No, not on his back, not leaving it in the backyard or in his living room or at the club. No, they're best friends. They're pals now. They together in every walk of life.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. My best friend, and I am so damn proud of her. So proud of her. But life hit her hard. Like I was always the party girl. I was always the one that people came to for the party. She wasn't a huge party girl. She partied when she was around me, right? We would meet at her house on Friday nights and have wine. Like, she mainly did drugs and drank when she was around me. Otherwise, she didn't really do it. She moved to another state with her fiance. He ended up cheating on her with the nanny. Wow. Left her for the nanny. Got the nanny pregnant. All while they were supposed to be engaged to get married. So
well, they didn't have kids
together. Well, they did. They have a son together. Yeah, they have a son together. And she had a daughter from her previous relationship. And so my friend fell off the deep end and started drinking. Oh, no. And at first I wasn't worried about it. You know, she'd call me on Friday nights and she was obviously drunk. And then the calls got less and less frequent. And I later found out that she was drinking every day. And like your friend from 10 years ago, she was taking alcohol to work. She was sneaking out to her car on her breaks and drinking. And her life completely fell apart. And it took years for her to get it back on track. And it was all because of one life stressor. Yeah. It was a lot of little things, right? Like they moved to a new state. They had their relationship problems. It was a lot. And then the betrayal. And then, you know, she had to move out of their place. And then she lost her job. And it was a lot, right? But it snowballed. And that's what happens to us. Mm-hmm. One blow hits, and then another blow hits, and another blow hits. And if you don't have healthy coping mechanisms to fall back on, if you don't know how you cope, then when you get hit blow after blow after blow, you turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms that are just drowning it out. They're just blinding you. You know, they're just distracting you. Then you keep distracted, and then another blow comes. And then you distract yourself from that one. And then another blow comes. And before you know it, your life has fallen apart because you never had the healthy coping mechanisms to begin with. And that's my hope for this episode, is that we can show someone how to learn their own coping behaviors, establish a healthy coping pattern, so that when life hits you, you can cope with that situation, heal from it, and be ready for the next thing. Because life doesn't give us breaks.
No.
It waits for no one.
Throw curveballs at you, and you just gotta roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have the best we can. Yeah.
And so you shared your coping pattern of, what was it?
Blowing up.
Blowing up.
staying quiet,
Yes.
being angry, being sad. But I learned that for me, it's either gym or talking about it.
Yeah.
I have to talk about it no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. And I have to process my feelings physically. Like I need to get out and move. And it looks different for everyone, but I want to encourage you to sit down this week. Take some time to think about when life has thrown you a curveball and you handled it well versus when life threw you a curveball and you did not handle it well. Because there are going to be cues in there. And you can take those cues and say, okay, I don't want to cope this way, but I do want to cope this way. So I know whenever life throws me a curveball, it feels good to do fill in the blank.
Yeah. So I just want to say that Jesus is your coping also. Because no matter what you go through, you can talk to Jesus, you can lay it out on him and cry it out to him. If you want to be angry and you want to, whatever, you can, God is there. Like, yes, God is just there listening to you. And I mean,
he can handle your angry.
Yeah,
he can handle your
frustrated. My coping mechanism also.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a huge one for me.
Yeah.
It's like just digging into the Bible, figuring out like, because Jesus came as a flawless sacrificial lamb, but he went through everything that we go through.
Yes, in flesh.
Yeah. He experienced it all. He had a friend die. What's his name? Lazarus. Lazarus got sick and died. That was his best friend.
But he also rose from the dead.
Yeah. But he knows betrayal. He knows hurt. He knows sadness. He knows anxiety and fear. And so, like, turning to him in your times of uncertainty can be a game changer. But I want everybody out there, all the listeners, know what your coping plan is before a storm hits. That way, when a storm hits, you can say, okay, now it's time to do X, Y, Z so that I can take on this storm.
Yeah.
Don't get blindsided. Don't go into the uncertainty of life without a plan. Like, you need to plan before the storm comes. We always go back to our most recent training in crisis. So there was a study, or they looked at the way that the kids of the Columbine shooting, responded to the shooting when it started. The kids behaved as if it were a fire drill or a storm drill, because they'd never been trained on how to react to a mass shooting. So they ran towards the shooters because they were looking for the nearest exit, because they were reverting back to their most recent training, which was a fire drill. So they were literally in panic running towards the shooters because their brain had been trained to run for an exit. Some of them hid under desks as if it was a tornado drill in plain sight of the shooters, but because their most basic training was to seek shelter under a desk. And I watched a recreation of the actual shooting in the library from Columbine in one of my classes. And the shooter is standing on a chair. And the kid ran and hid under a desk. It would be like this fireplace. He hid right here with the shooter right there. And he shot him. But because the kid didn't have the training in his arsenal, his mental arsenal, to actually seek coverage, not just shelter, right? Like he just sought shelter. He just sought to be covered, but he needed to have been seeking to be concealed. So we need to train our brain on how to handle the storms of life before they hit. That way, when the storms do hit, we revert back to our most basic training, which is how to deal with a storm with healthy coping.
Yeah, it reminds me of self-regulation.
Mm-hmm.
Like how we have to learn to self-regulate our emotions and process them, and how to snap out of it so you're not stuck there
on that loop.
Yeah. And you can go ahead and just move forward.
Yeah. Because when you have a plan, like for me, I know I'm going to cry for at least 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
But also having an accountability partner who said, like my husband, who knows, okay, it's been 2 days, it's time for her to get out of this funk. So that you don't get caught on that emotional dysregulation loop.
So I just want to say that when you work out, your muscles contract this protein that helps your body and your nerve system heal. So you don't have to go to the gym to work out, but you can go do swimming classes, Zumba, yoga, whatever, not sponsored, but if any gym wants to sponsor me to speak for them, that would be great.
I know. I have a sponsorship now for my glasses from Google Lab.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's crazy how stuff like that happens. But yeah.
Wow, amazing.
So anyway, all right. Anything else for the listeners about coping mechanisms? I think
no.
To recap, we talked about our own coping mechanisms.
Yes. Yeah. We talked about friends.
Yes, the importance of friends.
This. Yeah.
Well, the importance of friends in helping you cope too. Yeah. And unhealthy coping mechanisms, how to keep an eye out for that. And the most important thing is to plan. Have a plan for how you will cope before the storms of life hit. Yeah.
Sounds good, Teresa. Thank you for wrapping it up, girl.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We thank you for watching, and share with your friends, please. We would be forever grateful. And visit the show notes for information on how to get in touch with us. All right.
Bye.
Bye.